Hey traders, TG Watkins here. Welcome to your free video. Today is October 20th, Monday, and boy, are we back to a strong market, aren't we? So hopefully everybody enjoyed the weekend. Maybe everybody wondering what Trump is going to do, what's China going to happen, what's going to happen out there over the weekend, because it has been a wild ride for the last 2 weeks at least. So let me kind of go through this. I want to show you guys kind of overall market situation, and then we'll talk about a few stocks and tickers out there, and then we'll wrap it up. So the SPX double dip after hours, that's really the big thing that has happened here, because if you just look on the surface, you're like, okay, the market just kind of pulled into the daily 50. And, you know, for the most part, that is right. That's really pretty good. But underneath the surface, there was a lot going on. Number one, if you did look at individual stocks and if you're looking at them, you were seeing that there were quite a few stocks that had been torn down, just ripped down last week. And so there was a lot of weakness out there. We could even see that some of the frothy names, like some of the quantum stocks, most of the quantum stocks actually, and then some of the other high flyers, they've been kind of getting knocked down. And we are starting to see a rotation into more legitimate, stronger names, kind of the FANG stocks. That's why I have that ticker up. And so I want you to know that. If you look here, we can see that last Friday, so 2 Fridays ago, when Trump came out and was talking about China and the market went down almost 3% in a day, it continued to go lower in the after hours, in which you can see here. Big move, okay? And then you kind of walked it back and the market bounced a little bit, and we took some trades on that. And then the market rolled over again on Thursday. And interestingly, the market did. Here's Thursday night. The market Thursday night into Friday went even lower again, but got bought up. And I think this was based on the banks, and they were concerned that they were getting some systemic weaknesses and whatever, but it seems like maybe that was kind of overblown. And so you can actually look at KRE and a bunch of other areas with the banking, and they've gotten hit pretty hard too last week. And to see what actually did go down and what got hit last week, and yet the market is still up like this, kind of tells me that we got a little bit of the froth out, we got some money rotating around, but the overall market is actually pretty good. And what this looks like is you can see we basically had a double bottom in both overnight sessions. Crazy. And that's another reason why both of these dips got bought up, and that's why I'm looking at this and saying, the market's actually not looking too bad. So let's do that and say, okay, so the market's pulled back, double dip, it got bought up, it back down to the daily 50, all that kind of stuff. And then let's take a look at the VIX, because the VIX was going absolutely bonkers compared to what the market did. I mean, if you were looking at the VIX, you'd think that the market was SPX 6400, or the market had just cratered or something like that, and yet it didn't. So it was very strange to see what was happening with this. And I have talked to a lot of my other trading friends and coworkers, and they haven't really seen something like this either. So this was a very, very rare circumstance that kind of occurred. And yet you could see Thursday into Friday, the VIX went up even more, but really the SPX in the market didn't really go down. So it was kind of strange to see what was happening. But this is also one of those typical things, is that when the VIX explodes like this, when it starts to come back down, we've kind of shaken all the weak hands out, and, okay, everything's kind of done and over with. This explosion to the upside is now cooked. And you can see that the VIX just got hammered today, which is good. That's what we wanted to see. And so this brings me to the presentation that I had last week on Thursday. It was kind of a market update thing, showing you guys what we've been up to and the trades that we've been making. And this was what I've been talking about. You guys who watch Simpler, you guys know I had some weekly videos and all this kind of stuff. So a couple weeks ago, I was talking about, okay, how bad is this weakness going to get? It took a few weeks, but it did eventually show up. And then I had another one a week after that. I was like, hey, this VIX is going up, but the SPX is still going up too. There's a problem. And all of that finally came to fruition last Friday, when we got the VIX in the UVX to finally move up when the market went down. Huge. Now, I was able to capitalize on that. The Moxy traders were too. We were long the UVIX. We were short a couple things, and I was able to crank in, at least in one account, $58,000 for this. Now, that is on top of overall the accounts that I've been trading. And again, I have a variety of accounts. So I've had one account, you guys know my 2,060% gain on SOXL at the tariff tantrum lows. That was $38,000 into $638,000 in 30 days. And then overall, I've had another account, which is mostly stock, a little bit of option here. And here, 140,000 to 725,000 in 6 months, 420% gain. Okay, so this market is really good. And I was able to catch this really big move to the downside to hedge the portfolio and actually get right back on track. So if you guys want, you should check out my YouTube channel. You should check out Simplers. We do have that replay. If you guys want to see everything that we covered in the webinar, kind of showed you what we're doing, how we're going forward, and how we're actually capturing this kind of stuff. And we have the Moxy indicator as the indicator of the month. So if you guys are interested, if you want the indicator, or if you want to come into the Moxy room, we are running specials. This is the best deal, okay? I know it's kind of on the upper end and whatever, but this is really the best deal because you get an annual subscription into the Moxy Indicator Mastery, so my trading room. You also get long-term Moxy setup breakout session, and this is because, well, it's a good market, and we have a lot of people who have, you know, bigger trading accounts or longer trading accounts, and they just want to know what the overall trend is doing. So that one was really good for that, so you guys can ride the waves, especially on monthly, weekly, daily timeframes. And then the 0DT SPX breakout session. I'm telling you, I didn't know this, but when I went to actually go learn how to day trade with 0DT options, it actually made me a better trader overall, and it really taught me even more about options. And so I've kind of found a different way that's simpler. Didn't have to worry about deltas and gammas and everything else like that. I show it to you in a visual represented place. And so that actually helps me trade better. So highly recommend it. And then Moxy Indicator again. So if you guys are interested, have that. simplertrading.com/Moxy Indicator Method. That is the MIM. Okay. So let's dive back into the rest of this because we know that this market has been a little wild. Here's the VIX. I want to talk about that because that, you know, the VIX went up. Now it's coming back down. Kind of looks like the market low is in until the next surprise shows up. Obviously, this is mostly all based on Trump and China. He continues to kind of walk it back. He continues to say nice things or whatever to the market to kind of not freak out the market and saying, don't worry about it. We're going to figure it out and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's been ruffled some feathers, but I think it's okay. So then let's take a look at the FANG stocks. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then NVTS was my one of my trades on my weekly watch list last week. That was public. Okay. So we come over here and FNGS, this is the ETF for the FANG stocks. And what we can see is over the last couple weeks when the market was getting really nutty and you could see that there were all the quantum stocks and some of the cryptos and, you know, Bitcoin hit new all-time highs and all that kind of stuff. And the FANG stocks weren't really going anywhere. You could see here that the ETF was mostly going sideways. And I was a little bit concerned. I thought, okay, I think everyone's kind of getting distracted with all these shiny objects over here and, you know, the high-flying quantum stocks. But really, we need to pay attention to this. And we could see for a few, almost a week and a half, that just wasn't looking good. And it just couldn't do anything. But it was gently coming down into the daily 50, okay? And now we can see, as of Friday and today, Monday, we can clearly see that these things are now back up and back up with a vengeance. So this is looking pretty good. Now, I know the Moxy indicator here is firing. Let's ignore that for now. Again, this is a momentum-based tool, so it can dip down and then come right back up. And you can see for how long that this just hasn't really been going anywhere. So there just hasn't been a lot of momentum. But what I'm looking for here is we've got a level and we're starting to see the Moxy indicator come up. And you can see here, there's your level and there's your Moxy indicator starting to come up. So this is what I'm saying. Like, we've just now started to see energy and momentum start coming back into these tickers. And that's why I'm saying, hey, this might actually be the beginning of this next move that we're looking for. Because remember, everyone's been waiting to buy the dip, and it feels like we might have had the dip. So, you know, I think we got it there. Now, if we come over here to IBIT, Bitcoin, this was another thing that for my weekly videos that I put out, if you guys want to come over to Profit Pilot YouTube, I did cover this at the very end of the video. And I said, hey, Bitcoin just got absolutely wrecked last week. Partly because of all the liquidations that happened, because I think a lot of people bought the breakout and then obviously the market collapsed. And so a lot of people got wiped out. And then it just got stretched even further because, you know, it's a risk on asset. And then at the end of my video, I said, this looks pretty stretched and I think it's about ready to bounce. And if it bounces, the market's probably not going to go down. And that's exactly what happened. We got a bounce. So now what I'm going to be looking for is some follow through on Bitcoin and see if this thing can actually get going higher. And if it can, then I think the market's going to continue going higher as well. And we can see basically the same thing with Ethereum in through here. And you can see actually what I'm looking at is here's your undercut. So there's your undercut. We can even see that price went lower, Moxy indicator went higher, and we can see even here there's some divergence on the 15-minute time frame as well. And now you can see it's up. So we actually added to quite a few positions today, some of them related to crypto and Ethereum and whatnot. So I'm pretty happy about this. And now basically this week, we just want to see if we can get some continued follow through. All right, then let's take a look at NVTS. I had the opportunity to do a public weekly watch list for Simpler last week. The video came out on Monday, which was right there. And yeah, NVTS is one of them. I said this has a good reason for it. It's got a good story, good theme behind it. And I even said that when the market, get this, when the market was imploding on Friday, you could see that it was actually up. And it pulled right back into support. And so that's why on Monday, it was actually up and looking good. And you can see how it just continued to scream higher. So maybe it's a little frothy up here. I wouldn't recommend necessarily chasing it up here. It's good to know about. Maybe there will be a second opportunity at some point. But I at least wanted to do a nice follow-up that we put this out publicly, and then you can see up here it just had a huge move. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. Remember, simplertrading.com/Moxy or /MIM for those coupon codes. We will be running this through October, so remember to get them while supplies last. And other than that, you guys enjoy your free video, and we'll see you back in the rooms. Take care.
Hey, TG here with Simpler Trading. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like or comment below. Also, make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell so you can stay up to date with my market analysis. Or you can join my free newsletter with the link in the description. Good trading, and I'll see you at the next video.